Hey guys, welcome to the SimRacingPaddock. I'm William Marsh, and if you remember, yesterday we actually did a live stream showcasing Le Mans in rFactor 2. However, I ran into a few hardware issues with what was going on, so I decided to spend some of yesterday working to try to get to the bottom of the issue. So I ended up actually doing a full reinstall of rFactor 2, which was downloading about 40 gigabytes of data. And then I did a couple tweaks recommended to me from Marcel Offermans, as well as some other members of the community, and I did get the issue resolved. So before we begin, I wanted to talk about showing what I did to fix this issue in case other people have similar issues. So the first thing that was suggested to me was to go into a JSON file and fix this issue where basically it's to do with the force feedback. So we can go into user data and then the player folder, and it's controller.json, and you have to make sure that you open it with a notepad file, so either the stock notepad or you can edit it with notepad++. That's one of my recommended applications to actually take advantage of the changes, or not changes, but text files. Because in Notepad++, you can shrink categories, which is nice. But we don't really need to worry about that right now. So we can scroll down, and you're going into the force feedback category. I'll likely do a video later on talking about better modifications to take full advantage of the force feedback in rFactor 2 and get a little bit over some of the weird niggles that you can have at times. So for now, we're just going to focus on fixing this issue. So if we go to the bottom right here, there's an area that says use thread. So if you know a little bit about force feedback, or not force feedback, but CPU, there are the CPU cores and then CPU threads. So, for example, right now I am using the Ryzen 7 1800X. That is an 8-core CPU, but it has 2 threads per core. So what happens is that's almost similar in concept, in theory, to having 16 cores, and it works well. So with the force feedback, in rFactor 2, it would send the commands via the same thread that it's rendering the physics and everything. And apparently, in theory, that single thread can get a little clustered. So commonly simulations and other games, they'll use limited threads. They're not going to take advantage of all of the threads on a CPU. So what this does, use thread, it'll allocate a thread to issuing the force feedback commands, which is nice. And basically, it really does work well. And I don't know if I had it off in my previous stream. I thought I had it on, but apparently what Marcel Offermans, the head of Studio 397, was saying when he was analyzing my stream, he said it was characteristic with having it off. So I activated it, and at least that, when I was testing earlier, it was working better. So we can just close out of this now. And then the other thing that you want to make sure when you are in rFactor 2 is under video settings. So here, it's showing as GPU auto. You don't want it to have auto. You actually want to select the GPU that you are using. So, boom, select my GTX 1080. And then some people say use GPU sync. I'm not a big fan of using sync myself. Or you can set it to actually NVIDIA sync option. But for now, this works. And then I like to have aggressive threading on. That's my personal preference. And then if I was setting it to use NVIDIA Surround, I would have checked multi-view because that allows some great options to adjust and take advantage of 3 monitors. But for now, we've got that working. And let's click and enter rFactor 2. So hopefully everyone is having a great day. Uh, things are going pretty well right now. Hold on a sec. Let's turn this down a bit. Sorry, Rick. Tomorrow we will be doing Assetto Corsa. Tomorrow evening, we are kicking off the new season for Sim Racing System for our series. And we are going to be doing a Group C championship. So if you guys are interested, that race I think is 6 p.m. Pacific time. It might be 7. I'll double check. But we are going to be racing Group C tomorrow evening. Should be fun. And hold on a second. rFactor 2 should be popping up on my stream. Don't know why it's not. Hold on a sec. rFactor 2. There we go. We've got it set. So I did this fresh install and got it all sorted out. And basically my frame rate was almost doubling in some situations. So I'm happy with the performance now. So we can try this 2017 Le Mans Circuit de la Sarthe version 0.8 again. So we will give that an experiment. And let's do the endurance series again. So before we were doing GTE, and now we are going to be going to a P2 because why the heck not? And let's pick a nice car. I like the Zytex. Zytex generally is pretty fun. Except, let's see. Dilemma. So many different cars. Unfortunately, Rick, there is no Toyota LMP1 available right now in rFactor 2, I think. I like this livery. Looks nice. So we'll do practice. And again, let's change to maybe like 8 p.m. or 7:30. We'll set time scale to 20 times. So you can set that. Railroad time scales. Let's do 2 times because this forces you to start with a green track. That's a pain. That's a pain in my opinion. And we'll turn off private practice. Get some cars in here. Yeah, if you remember, we had the issue with AI stuttering. I'm happy to say that was fixed. So that I'm happy about it's being resolved. I'm happy that we were able to get the frame rates better, which is awesome. And let's answer some of your guys' questions. F1 is Life asks, do you guys think that Assetto Corsa Competizione will be good? I'm hoping so, because ultimately what ACC is signifying in some ways is A, a shift to the next generation of racing sims, and B, it's hearkening the opening era of the Unreal Engine powered sim. I believe that this will be the first major sim racing title powered by Unreal Engine. So if this does well, we could see more and more titles taking advantage of this game engine. And the question is, how realistic will it be? Because Unreal Engine, we haven't really seen it tested too well in a sim racing environment. We saw, I think it's Gravel use Unreal Engine, and there are rumors that Forza Motorsport 7 used a modified Unreal Engine, but I find that highly unlikely. So it's going to be interesting to see how Unreal Engine works and how we can take advantage of it. And yeah, Rick, basically when I started things off, this is a relatively fresh install, so it does have to generate shaders and things like that. So this car uses 403 degrees of rotation. Let's enter that into SimiCube right now. So 940 degrees of rotation. And Gamer Muscle is in. Gamer Muscle, A, RIP Sharks, and B, RIP Penguins. In the space of 2 days, both of our teams got eliminated. Funny stuff. So we'll do 30 force feedback smoothing. There we go. So hold on a sec. Wait. Okay. I had a slight dyslexic moment. So apparently I did 943 instead of 403. My bad. There we go. So that should fix degrees of rotation. I have no clue why, Jackson, but when I looked at your name, I found myself thinking of Samuel L. Jackson. But yeah, if you were watching the stream yesterday and now you see it today, look how much better the frame rate is. So much better. It is astounding. But yeah, URD. Yeah, I was talking with Alice. Fun fact, Alice, who is the main guy with United Racing Design. Wait, there's no sound. Hold on. Brian, yes, I've been talking about that. Whoa, hold on a sec. I just realized sound is wrong device, so hold on a sec. Default. Now we got sound. Okay, but we need to turn it up. There we go. Okay, so now we got sound. But yeah, so Brian Smith, I am talking about the idea of maybe doing a Le Mans team. So you're in my Discord, right? You're in my Discord, I think. So I might talk about doing some recruiting for Le Mans. That would be a fun event. That would be a fun event. Is rFactor working on an LMP1? To my knowledge, I don't think so. So I think that ISI, they're doing an LMP2. They're doing the Lola LMP2. Then they are doing, what is it? They are doing the LMP3 race car. So LMP3 race car, I can't remember what that is off the top of my head. It's the N something. Did I say ISI? Wow. Whoops. But yeah, it's like Norma LMP3. So yeah, it looks like the AI, they have their better setup. But notice, no stuttering from the AI. That is a huge improvement over yesterday. So I don't know what happened, but it's like, yeah. I should have done like process of elimination to figure out exactly what was the issue. But yeah, so the Norma LMP3, and then they are doing the Lola LMP2. So what I heard is that I believe that United Racing Design, they are going to be doing an improved, I'm doing an improved LMP, or the PX mod. They're going to add more cars. Gamer Muscle, I only use an Elgato when I am doing console capture. I don't use an Elgato for PC capture. So Norman, I was talking about it in the stream earlier. I had to do a fresh install of rFactor 2, and then I had to change a line or two in the JSON file for the, it's like controller.json file, and then I ended up having to adjust video settings in rFactor 2. So if you want, you can rewind a little bit in the stream and see me talk about that. But yeah, bottom line, no stuttering AI and solid frame rate now, which is nice. I did notice when I come into the front straight and cross the start-finish line, that there might be a slight frame rate hiccup because there's so many objects in the front straight. So yeah, I can feel a frame rate drop. So Star Fox, the URD mod is still going to be payware. It's still the payware, but fun fact, the founder of URD is actually staff for Studio 397 now. So, Muammar, I apologize if I mispronounce your name as I just drive through those curbs. Assetto Corsa does have a version or two of Le Mans. So we are coming up on a GTE car. I'm gonna turn on headlights because I'm noticing that it's starting to get a bit dark. But yeah, this is a nice track model. So this was converted from an rFactor 1 mod. An rFactor 1 mod was created to simulate the 2012 version of Le Mans. And then this was converted and then adapted to meet the 2017 version of the track. So now we're kind of in that awkward time where it's starting to get darker, but the headlights aren't doing too much. Christopher, I have only driven the URD EGT mod. That's the only mod I've driven from them, and I liked it quite a bit. The cars had a decent feel to it, but I have not tried the other mods yet. It sounds like maybe in a few weeks I'll be able to get those mods to test out. So yeah. Alonzo, look, I want to say it's like 4th line in the description. Okay, a bit of a frame rate hiccup right here. I don't know if it's because it was 3 wide at Mulsanne. But hold on. We're side by side. Still stable frame rate. But that was weird for a sec. Norman, there are some versions of Monaco in varying levels of quality. F1 cars, so the stock F1 car for rFactor 2 is based off of 2012 specifications, which are specifically, it's the Marussia 2012 car, or I think that's how you pronounce it, Marussia, whatever. But yeah, it's a 2012. Why do so many people say I look like Jack Black? I cannot do a Jack Black impression. Favorite racing series in real life? So, growing up, it was always NASCAR growing up. But lately, I've gotten more and more disinterested in NASCAR and more interested in IndyCar. IndyCar is a blast, to be honest. Like, they have a great variety. They do have the people who are the tracks that are drive left that Gamer Muscle would always poke fun at. They also have street circuits. They have good road courses. So that is a blast. Hold on a second. I want to monitor the frame rate now. So we are at 40 frames per second right now. What the heck? Why the heck are we that low? So it might not be all ironed out, but yeah. So keep in mind, this is a beta track. This is version 0.8, so hopefully they do more optimizations for DX11 and get it sorted out, because like backstretch Mulsanne, we're getting 60 at least, but it's kind of frustrating. Why are we... Alright, full disclosure, I have everything at high, roughly. So we could test and see how it'll work. F1 is life. Will there be an rFactor 3? It's possible. I don't think we're going to see it for a while, though. I think there's so much to develop in rFactor 2. There's still quite a bit of life left in Alonso. I might be a little off, but yeah, the link to this track is in the description. I should just say it that way. But man, this track gets dark. It is darker on my monitor than what you're seeing in the stream, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at my right screen where I have my OBS open, and I'm seeing like, man, that is brighter. So I could almost drive looking at this screen. I should start a VEC team. That's what I've been hearing. I know Jimmy Broadbent loves the VEC championship, so who knows? Could compete with him. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because I think there's still so much potential left in rFactor 2. They're making the code optimizations. They are making these improvements that should have been done before. But ultimately, what needs to happen is we need a stable platform first. We need a stable platform, and then I'd say think about what could be done for rFactor 3 or a new name in the series. Because I wonder, do you think that really it might be time for a new name? That might be something to keep in mind. So I want to show, so right now we're getting 70 frames per second. Feels pretty smooth, feels all right. I don't know this like Le Mans well enough to drive really fast at night yet. But yeah, I do know Jimmy. I've known him basically since before he hit 10,000. I've known him maybe around 3 years? Sounds, yeah, 3 years, I think. So yeah, all these objects here, you'll notice the frame rate start to plummet, which I think is partly because these objects aren't well optimized yet. But yeah, hurry up and make it stable so Ryza could license the engine. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to do an experiment in a minute. I want to switch to a different car, and I'm going to drop the graphics settings, because We are high across the board on most of the stuff. Cue California joke innuendo right there. But yeah, so seeing what can be done. So my take on virtual reality in rFactor 2, I'm a fan of it, but it is clear that it is early in development. So virtual reality in rFactor 2 works pretty well, but they need to improve it. It's early beta. It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. So let's see. Drop those settings down a bit. Turn down road reflection. Thanks for that tip. So let's go to a GT car. Or actually, let's see. What GPU am I using? I am using an NVIDIA GTX 1080. And I think it's at stock clock right now. So let's check something out. Yeah, I don't have any LMP1 cars, unfortunately. I don't have the PX mod yet. I want to get it sometime, but I just don't yet. Let's go with the Aston Martin, because we were going with the... we were driving the Corvette before, so this would be a fun change. Do they have a 007? Yes, they do. Let's go with that. But yeah, this is such a fun track. I need to learn to get better, take better lines through it. But yeah. And this kind of gets to something I wish we would see in more sim racing titles. Le Mans. This is one of the most well-known racetracks in all of racing. If you think endurance race, you're likely thinking Le Mans. And at the same time, only one or two major sim racing titles have it officially licensed, laser scanned, and released. iRacing and Project Cars. We don't have Assetto Corsa. We don't have rFactor 2. We don't have RaceRoom with Le Mans. And I think that's really a missed opportunity. Because, for example, Assetto Corsa has the Porsche 919. It has GTE cars. It has LMP1, but no Le Mans. They have Spa, which is nice, but no Le Mans. And then rFactor 2 has arguably the best system to really be able to take advantage of endurance racing. It has driver swaps, it has day to night, it has weather, but we don't have... All right, also, we don't have Le Mans. We don't have Spa. We don't have laser scan Nürburgring. So all these tracks, it works well. And Christopher, why should RaceRoom have Le Mans? It has LMP1 cars. Enough said. It has a decent system. But really, that's the biggest issue with rFactor 2 in my opinion. It needs to have tracks and cars people want. Sebring is a great addition, but at least we had it with Virtua LM, but now we're going to have it with a laser scan version, which is awesome. And I think it's just in time for major races like maybe 12 hours of Sebring. Hold on, we got to change degrees of rotation to 612, 612. And rFactor 2, they need to allow the automatic degrees of rotation adjustment, so I don't have to go into SimiCube every time I change the car. Christopher, they have the Audi R18, and then they have a couple fictional-based LMP cars. Okay, I gotta change the force feedback. 5, 4, 3. There we go. Very nice engine note. Odds are the external note doesn't sound good. Or let's see. Not bad, not great. It sounds a little overly quiet. So, yeah, they have classic spa, but they don't have modern spa. So, you can't really simulate a modern... Whoa, that's loud. Hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, I hit the wrong one. My bad. Okay, so that's a little better. So, for example, modern spa, you don't have the ability... I mean, modern spa would be great for 24 hours of spa. You're not going to race 24 hours of spa at a historic spa. Whoa, okay. Porsche Formula Drift. But great engine note out of this car. Wait, do I have suspension damage? Why is it saying I have front and side damage? Okay. We're driving. Well, yeah, the sounds are pretty good in the interior. I want to do an experiment though. So we were topping off at about 167 miles per hour. So hold on a second. Yeah, that Porsche sound is pretty awesome. I do have a digital dash. I have the Renovatio SRD-9C. I have my review on it in the channel if you want to watch it. Yeah, so on the channel is my review of the SRD-9C. But I want to go to the garage and see and try to get more speed out of this car. So you can't change the final gear. That's usually what I would do. I'll do about 3 clicks up. And then maybe 2 or so for there. And then I want to lower the rear downforce so we can actually get some of that speed. Because I think we'll have some drag. And then lower downforce. So, digital dash. Yeah, I like the Renovatio dash. But I want to do my own DIY dash. And hey, Cooper, how's it going? Those downshift sounds are pretty violent in a good way, too. Decrease the rake on the car. I'll have to do that in a minute. I want to see what speed we get now, though. You can see the car's a little livelier. There's a little less downforce, so you can see the car skirting around a little bit. So now we're on the back straight, Mulsanne. And our speed. Yeah, Norman, first I need to learn to do things like soldering. So 170. 175. 177, 178. So we gained about 10 miles an hour. But you can see we're closing in. $175. Whoop, little lively. Now we're down to second gear at the end. Next straight. But yeah, you can see we gained quite a bit of speed there. I think we can get more though. Such a fun car. Well, little bit of a frame rate stutter there. rFactor 2 or RaceRoom, which is better? That is a very tough question because I like different things about both. But in terms of features and when everything is working right, I think rFactor 2 is superior. It has the more advanced tire model. It has quite a few fun cars, and when everything's working right, it has some great AI. I'd say that RaceRoom, it has better, it has a wider car and track selection. That's one of the big things. It has one of my favorite, absolute favorite versions of Sonoma Raceway. My favorite version of Sonoma Raceway, even though it's not laser scanned. It has DTM. It has BTCC. And I think it has BTCC. It has WTCC. It has GT3, GT2, GT1, LMPs. It has so much content. The only downside is online is pretty darn dead. It doesn't really have like a major structure to it. You can set up individual races. I think there might be a season mode, but ultimately it's a bit of a challenge. Mods make rFactor 2? That is a pretty solid statement. Because really, Project Cars 2 will have the 919 in month and has the R10 TSO40. Yeah, it might have the best LMP1 roster right now. Whoop. But yeah, and then, let's see, mods make rFactor 2. That is an arguably true statement. And the issue is, early on in rFactor 2 development, it really felt like the modding community was sort of getting the shaft in rFactor 2. Cars are too hard to develop for, and there wasn't much in the way of help for the development of mods. Now it seems like rFactor 2 is getting more accessible, so that's why we're seeing like now the Ender Racers mod and more things coming out. But for the longest time, it was just so freaking difficult to mod for rFactor 2, and I think that's why some of the modding communities died off, or went to Assetto Corsa, or got absorbed into game development teams. But yeah, there's so much different that happened. So you were saying the rake. What exactly is the rake again? I feel like a total dork right now. Goes front, downforce, rear. Let's try to change this down to 2. And bumping gears 4, 5, and 6. I think that'll work. Oh, distance between front and rear height. Thank you. So you're saying reduce it? Let's try that as an experiment. So we were getting about 177. But oh, look how dark it's getting. Looks pretty good, if you ask me. Let me check some real quick. I'm going to just turn up the brightness on my monitor real quick. There we go. Most realistic sim available, I'd say arguably rFactor 2 or maybe even Automobilista. Automobilista still holds up really well, but for weather, day to night transition, this works well. Yes, I am playing in DirectX 11. So let's check the speed now. So 176, 77, 8, 9, 180. So that's about 300 kilometers an hour. 180, I think 186 is 300 kilometers an hour. So Christopher, what I wanted to do last night was actually the review I posted this morning. Or I streamed this morning and then reposted, which was my review on the Creo Sim MPS 17s. But then my sister, she ended up blowing it. Actually, she blew a tire 2 days ago, so I ended up driving her to work. So I drove her to work, helped her out. So yeah. Should be faster on my second lap. Tires have higher pressures. I know I'm getting cheap out of it. I'm just going to turn on invulnerability for now. About 3 kilometers an hour slower current GTE's averages. Well, thank you. Better physics, rFactor 2, hands down. In my opinion, the physics for rFactor 2 are some of the best in sim racing. iRacing has definitely improved in leaps and bounds, but I still think rFactor 2 has the best driving feel. Don't hit first curb at last turn. I did. End of Mulsanne. Thank you. What's crazy how many long straights are in Le Mans. So you always have to have your car set up for that kind of high speed, low downforce. So I want to do a video force feedback guide for rFactor 2 in the near future because a lot of the settings are hidden in the controller JSON file. And if you adjust some of those settings, you can really get the force feedback feeling awesome in rFactor 2. So this must be the Flat 6 GT3 Cup car, because why else would it be so slow? But yeah, it's interesting because in some of the older ISI motor titles, there was a weird issue with force feedback, where if you would hit a wall, even with invulnerability on, the force feedback would lock in a direction. And apparently it had something to do with the JSON or /INI files in older Sims, where it's the jolt force magnitude. Whoa, fudge. Good thing I turned on invulnerability. Should be able to still come in at speed for this. So Jamal, I have the large midge motor, unfortunately, not the small. In the future, I will test the small midge motor, but for now, I'm driving with the large midge. But when I make my video, I'll change it around. So 182. I totally missed that turn. Whoa, those tires are hot now. And one of the things I think is the best in rFactor 2 is it legitimately punishes you for driving bad. So, Nathan, I should be getting that wheel in the next week, I think. Basically, I should be getting it in the next week or so. I don't know of any reviews yet on it, though. But I should be getting that wheel soon. So, once I do, you can bet I'm going to be testing it out. It's getting dark. Is there a good DPI mod for any sim? So what I heard is I think there will be some DPIs in the next release for the United Racing Design PX mod. I don't know off the top of my head though. Do I review telemetry post-race with application plugins? I have tried Motec in the past. I've never done Z1 dash telemetry or anything like that. But I have analyzed using Motec before. But yeah, I want to experiment with that some more in the future and figure that out. Because I think that would be a cool video series. Talk about looking at telemetry to see how you can improve. So Z1 Dash, is that an application that you can put on a screen? Or is that an actual dashboard? I always forget. Because I always hear Z1 Dash, Z1 Dash, Z1 Dash. Oh man, when you get the heat into the tires, this car, it feels good. Whoa! As I get unsettled by that curb. But one of the things I'm loving about the feel of this car that I'm noticing is the way you drive out of the corner. You feel the car rotating and you can feel the rear of this car. So I'll try to show you an example. A little tough here. This is the slow speed section. but maybe on the throttle here. You can feel the rear rotating. And it's one of the best feelings in any sim, I think. Because Assetto Corsa, I don't get that real solid feeling of the rear of the car. So here, gonna really feel the rear come out and can control that slip angle. But then, of course, it won't fix stupid, as I've talked about in other videos, so I just totally overcooked it there. Couldn't save that. But feeling the rear come out a bit and being able to place it where I want it to go. Okay, so, interesting topic. Speaking of IMSA, because technically NASCAR owns IMSA now. What do you think of the news that NASCAR is looking for a buyer? Honestly, I am so freaking excited for that news. Because Brian France, I feel, has really driven NASCAR into the ground. And I think maybe having it in different owners' hands could really bring out some potential greatness of it. Thank you, 8-Bit Driver Guy, for subscribing. But yeah, NASCAR, I think, could really benefit from new ownership. The question is, who's gonna buy it? But I think seeing what could happen. But also, it's going to be a big deal because now it's NASCAR. So that's the Cup Series, that's the Xfinity Series, that's the Truck Series. And then going down from there, we're also going to see that owner also is going to take ownership of ARCA. It's going to buy the IMSA Series. So that's a huge package deal. And I think whoever ends up buying it, they're gonna have a lot of weight on their shoulder, but I think it's best. I think it's gonna be big for NASCAR. So those are my main thoughts on it. But yeah, it's interesting because we've spun out a couple times. I am really feeling the flat spotting through the steering wheel. And that's one of the things I am loving about this open sim wheel. It's not just the quickness, it's not just the torque, it's not just the precision, but it's how it communicates subtle effects. This motor has such minute detail. You can just feel it in a way that's so difficult to describe. For example, so if we talk about the Fanatic Formula Rim, so the Fanatic Formula Rim, they have those vibration motors in the side that can communicate feedback. And it feels like this motor is capable of communicating that feedback without those tiny vibration motors. It is just so precise, so accurate, and it's able to communicate so many different things at once. What did I think of WC at Spa last weekend? To be honest, I missed it. I was kind of too encapsulated with San Jose Sharks playoffs at that time, so I totally missed that race, unfortunately. But yeah, now that the Sharks are eliminated, I'll be focusing a lot more on racing this season. Huh. Well, today I just found out I had a butler. operative word, had. Chris, if you look in the description, the link is there. Link is in the description. So you can download it there. I'm not going to fall for that prank, dude. Hold on. I think it's in the description. Let me check real quick. Wait, nope. Okay, hold on a second. I could have sworn I had that link there. Let me just fix that real quick. I guess I had it in the info for the previous stream. So hold on 1 minute. So the link was in the previous stream. Let's do this right now, though. Sorry about that. I could have sworn it was there. Download Le Mans 2017 track. There we go. So if you refresh the track, you should see it. Refresh the track and you should see it. Or not refresh the track, refresh the page, the stream, and you should see it in the description because I just updated it. If you are still not seeing it, go to Facebook, look up United Racing Design, and there's a link there. Sorry about that. It was in my old stream, the link, and I guess I forgot to paste it over. So I think there was another modern Le Mans track that's being in development, but this one is out, Chris. There's another Le Mans in development, I think. No, URD is not making this, but they reposted the link, I think. This was made by SimRacing Team. So this was SimRacing Team that converted this from rFactor 1 and then added some things to it. We caught some air there. Little lockup. So I think we should test out with another car now. We did some good testing with this, but I think it's time to switch to a new car. So let's see. Should we do something crazy or should we do something cool? Gabriel. It's a kind of a long story, but I'll try to go back to the beginning. So, or let's do GT. Let's do, or no, not that one. We'll do the Callaway C7R. But in a second, I'll tell the story of why why Project Cars 2 is arguably so controversial. So let's just do this for now. So Project Cars 2 was basically the team that did RaceRoom Racing Experience. They were part of a group called SimBin. So Simbin, they created GTR, GTR2, Race 07, GTR Evolution, and then they eventually split. Part of the team stayed as Simbin, and that team is what is now Sector 3 Studios, works on RaceRoom racing experience. The other part of that team created Slightly Mad Studios, and they became kind of contracted workers for Electronic Arts. And they created Need for Speed Shift and Need for Speed Shift 2. And Slightly Mad Studios gained a lot of flack because Shift and Shift 2 Unleashed, they had potential, but the driving feel just was really off. And they felt like they kind of sold out in favor of going with EA, per se. And then they decided, okay, we're going to go independent. And then they did that, and they created Ferrari Racing Legends, which was okay, but it still had that Need for Speed Shift feel. And then they were saying, okay, we're going to make a title for sim racers by sim racers, which was Project Cars. And they did a crowdfunding campaign through their own company, which was called World of Mass Development. So they did World of Mass Development to create or to get crowdfunding for for Project Cars. The problem with that was apparently they used shady business techniques for Project Cars, and they were deemed a kind of, I think it was either pyramid scheme or Ponzi scheme. They were ruled as that by British government. So they had to shut down the crowdfunding. And I did get into that crowdfunding when it first opened around, I think, 2012 or 2012 or so. And then so with that, what happened was two things. So, whoa, why is the frame rate so low? Hold on. I guess it's like the dawn or stuff. But yeah, so, continuing. Two things really happened that frustrated sim racers with Project Cars development. A, Project Cars 1 got into a point where they stopped listening to the people who were involved with the development. So as mentioned, Project Cars 2, CARS is an acronym. CARS stood for Community Assisted Racing Simulation. So their big marketing push was they were being a sim by the people for the people. They were listening to community input and making decisions based off of that, and they were going to really make the best racing simulation ever. And at a point around midway to 3/4 in with development, they stopped listening to the community. They started getting a little more stubborn, stuck in their own ways, and making decisions that didn't sit well with the community. And anyone who really spoke out against Project Cars development team was they either were ostracized, or it got to a point where they were kicked out of the early access group. They were kicked out or banned from the community, and they lost their investment. So that was really one of the major controversial things. Another controversial part with Project Cars 2 was it became this thing where the fan base really became rather rabid. So consider, the idea was you're investing in this game. so you can get a return on your investment if Project Cars does well. And that created these marketers. So it essentially became, you were paying to become their marketing team because you wanted a return on your investment. Full disclosure, I invested around $30 into Project Cars 1 through that crowdfunding method. I likely made about 10 times back on my investment. So I likely got about $300 because I invested in Project Cars 1. Now consider, some people were investing $10,000. They were investing thousands of dollars into Project Cars 2, or Project Cars 1. So it was in their best interest that Project Cars sells well, so they get some sort of return on their investment. And that was making conflicts of interest, and that's why you were seeing so many people attacking people saying bad things about Project Cars. And sure, it's not all that, but there were people who were in that that kind of conflict of interest mindset, where they were like, they knew Project Cars was going to have bugs, they knew Project Cars was going to have issues, but they wanted the return on their investment. They wanted Project Cars 1 to do well so they would get money out of it. And that created this toxic fan base. And then on top of that, it became a situation where the crowdfunding became irrelevant at a point. The crowdfunding got to this point where actually, or it wasn't, the crowdfunding got to a point where Project Cars, consider, the crowdfunding was so Project Cars could release as an independent title. Independent being the operative word. It was going to be an independently released title, free from developer restrictions and interference. About 3-4 months before Project Cars 1 released, they announced Project Cars is going to be produced and released by Bandai Namco, which is something where, realistically, Bandai Namco, good studio, but that totally defeated the purpose of Project Cars. The community-assisted racing simulation abandoned the community and also so all that money, Project Cars, I want to say they raised around $20 million in their crowdfunding campaign. They raised around $20 million to release a title independently. But then Bandai Namco comes in and it's like, well, that money, it's good and all, that helped you in your development, but ultimately that felt like a major slap across the face of many sim racers. Because it's like, we paid for this to be an independent title, free of corporate interference, and now you're letting corporate interfere. They went back on their word multiple times. So that is why Project Cars 1 and subsequently Project Cars 2 left such a bad taste in people's mouths. And another reason people were frustrated with Project Cars 2 is that before Project Cars 1 was released, Project Cars 2 had already been leaked. So before Project Cars 1 was released, they were already working on crowdfunding for the sequel. In the beginning vision, Project Cars 1, they wanted a long lifespan. They wanted it to be a long-lasting title. They wanted it to last years and have people not worrying about a sequel. But then, even before Project Cars 1, they're already working on Project Cars 2. It's like, really? That also felt like another slap across the face of the sim racing community. Why would you go back on that promise? We were investing on this title that we wanted long life out of. We wanted a long lifespan for Project Cars 1. But what we got as the result of our investment was an extremely buggy mess that was already being planned on being obsolete. So that is why so many people are upset with Project Cars and Project Cars 2. And then of course there's that whole controversial element with Austin Oginowski and Pretend Race Cars, but that's an entirely different story where it, like, paying off a criticizer to basically silence him. But yeah, so that's sort of the long-ish story, short-ish, of what all happened with Project Cars. For example, arguably, Project Cars has the worst rendition of Sonoma Raceway in the past 10-ish years. So in the past 10 years or so, I'd say Sonoma Raceway for Project Cars and Project Cars 2 is the worst version ever. And because I had invested early in Project Cars 1, I had access to the early access development forums. So I got to see behind the scenes of what all was being worked on. Fun fact, Stock Cars, Indianapolis, they were being developed for Project Cars 1. IndyCar, developed for Project Cars 1. But they deliberately held off for Project Cars 2 as for Project Cars 2 to be released to add those. So it's interesting. But Sonoma Raceway, I let them know in the forums, hey, this is not a good rendition of Sonoma. The altitude changes are off, the curbs are wrong, it just doesn't sit well. The response, you're full of crap. And it's like, okay, challenge. Drive the iRacing version of Sonoma, or drive the RaceRoom version of Sonoma. Heck, drive the NASCAR Heat version of Sonoma. And then go to Project Cars and Project Cars 2 and tell me that something doesn't feel off with the Project Cars version of Sonoma. It's such a weird situation. And then also, one of the biggest issues I had with Project Cars 1 2 or Project Cars 1 as well was the gear shift sounds. And the gear shift sounds in Project Cars 1 were garbage. It sounded like this weird warbling. It's a weird warbling, and we had this situation where I talked in that thread, in the forum thread, talking about sound discussion. I'm like, hey, this sounds wrong. This doesn't sound right. And I get the kind of, you're full of crap, and then later on they say, oh, we'll work on it. And it's like, they never fixed it. They never fixed it. And the gear shifting sounds in Project Cars 1 are almost like nails on a chalkboard. It's that grating for me. I mean, some other people, they might be more tolerant of it, but it just sounds so wrong compared to other titles. And I know I'm nitpicking, I know I'm ranting, but it's like, really, they had every chance to fix Project Cars and Project Cars 2, but they didn't. And that hurts. It's a pain. But yeah, so I know it's like you guys asked the question and I was answering. That's a little bit of insight on what happened with Project Cars and Project Cars 2. So I think I'm going to do one last car. And boom! We'll do one last car, but we'll actually do a race, I think. We'll try a race, and it's going to be kind of a stress test. I want to see specifically how this works in a race. So we'll go back to Endurance Series. And let's do flat 6. So this is the slowest class. But, fine, we'll do the Orica. We'll do the Orica. So we'll go with that one. I like that livery. So let's go to race. Gabriel, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for subscribing. So Norman, the reason I don't have a tactile transducer installed yet is because I didn't have the hardware necessary to mount it. I just got it about a day or so ago. So I ended up buying the Butt Kicker Gamer 2 mount from Rickmatech, so I can finally mount a butt kicker to this cockpit. So soon it will be me mounting. Christopher, yes, it was an old clip. It was from, I want to say, the 2014 season. So hold on a second. We're going to do 10 laps around Le Mans. And let's do 6 p.m. 10 laps, 20 times time scale. Let's do 15 times. Actually, no, 10 times. That should get us into the evening. Grid position random. 20 AI drivers will do 89% strength. And I think that will work pretty well. Christopher, last time they scored would have been Friday, I think? Yeah, I think Friday was the last time they scored, so. Because honestly, they did get shut out on Sunday. That was a pain. But they did score on, I think it was an overtime game. So yeah, I want to say it was like 3-3 or something like that. I lose track. Yeah, load times, hopefully they will be reduced as all of the code gets optimized in rFactor 2. Because one of the things that's tough with rFactor 2 is some of the code in it is really deprecated. So a lot of the code is deprecated in rFactor 2 where you can find some code in some of the files tracing back all the way to Sports Car GT, which was one of ISI's first titles back from 1999. So it's like, yeah, they need to do some cleaning. So 403 degrees of rotation. So 403, 403. Turn down strength to 30. But hey, there's always next year for the Sharks. I'll just put it that way. So I set it to standing start, which isn't the most realistic, but hey, why not? Kind of stuck Whoa, okay. I just got cut off by that Aston. Oh, spinner. I heard AI can be a little erratic in this race, and yep, definitely. I might have gotten a flag for unsafe pass in real life, but whoa, okay. That is definitely Carmageddon. I really like the look of these closed top LMP cars though. And yes, wipers work. So let's see, go 3 wide. Why do I use head movement? This was kind of relatively fresh install of rFactor 2 and I just forgot to turn it off. But I also wanted to experiment with it. Wow, that LMP car carried a lot of speed in as I hopped the curb, my bad. Will I be getting the McLaren GT3 rim? Yeah, I'm excited to test that out. Because that is also the first Fanatic rim with a hand clutch. And I want to test out a wheel with a hand clutch. So I'm excited to test it. But yeah, the only thing is I wish they had a more premium rim with a hand clutch because this is a CSL series rim, so it's not going to be at the build quality of higher end rims. The dash display I think is going to leave a little to be desired, where I think it's only like that small whoa display. So yeah, there's a lot of thought about it. Remember, no first curb. Side by side. That was a decent pass. Hopefully this mod, as more releases come out, we will see more and more modern endurance cars. Recently switched to Fanatic, loving the Formula Carbon rim, however, is it worth it to get McLaren? It depends on what you're wanting to drive. The thing is, hand clutch is more authentic for the experience of driving open wheel cars and some GT3 cars. So keep that in mind. And then Jeffrey, I will respond to you this time. Do I agree that Alonso's overrated? I don't think so. I think Alonso is a great driver. And deserving of what he's done, but also he's gotten a bad rap at times. He's just gotten sometimes some bum deals. So I do not say Alonso's overrated. But that's also my personal opinion. Whoa. Bottom out a bit, I think. Should have dropped the wing a bit, I think. Love the sound of that backfire. You can hear the backfire off the throttle and on the brake. They're battling ahead. That's one of the nice things with AI in rFactor 2. They legitimately battle. We're not just sticking around. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. This car has some pretty darn good brakes, so all things considered. Braked a little early there. So we're almost done with 2 laps. So 7:14 p.m. Luckily in a couple hours in a few minutes it'll start getting dark. Couple in-game hours, but we have time acceleration turned on. Whoa, little oversteer there. Woohoo! This car's quick. Afraid that is correct in my opinion. I'd say there's no sim that has perfect AI, but this is pretty darn good AI. Norman, I'm yet to figure that out. I need to learn more about butt kicker before really going deep into it. Keep on missing that corner a bit. Chris, this mod and I think so. I think so. Or for this track specifically, once they iron out some of the kinks, I think so. For the cars, if they had... The cars is a bit of a tough situation though. Because the cars span a wide variety of years. So, they don't have absolutely modern everything, but they do have a good variety. And unfortunately, there's no LMP1 in this mod, but for driving feel, I prefer this over Project Cars 2. And then maybe combine it with some cars from the PX mod, maybe? Get some LMP1s that way, and that could be a good combo. Brakes way too early, and I just gave up that spot. Whoops. I didn't realize he was that close. Alright, Gabriel, you have a good night, man. Thanks for watching. So let's see. Frey, yes, they do have quality paid mods. The United Racing Design mods are good. And then if you count DLC, the Formula E pack is also a good pickup. The GT3 pack's a good pickup. ASR Formula cars are pretty fun as well. So in about a lap, it progressed almost an hour. And then Kart Sim is technically a pay mod. Kind of overpriced, but if you like karting, then you'd love Kart Sim, I think. But granted, Automobilista has, in my opinion, the best kart content available. Vitamia. Link is in the description. Shader draw distance. I don't think so. This is still pretty fresh install. Sounds too loud. Is there a way to turn that on? Whoa. Dang it, dang it, dang it. This is a car you're going to want to let go of the wheel when you crash with this open sim wheel. But yeah, this still has a little ways to go in terms of refinement, getting the frame rate settled, maybe taking more advantage of DirectX 11 maybe. Okay, that totally upset my car. Don't hit the curbs too hard. Good sense of speed, yes. Yeah, hopefully, shadows are one of my biggest complaints about rFactor 2. They just, especially on oval tracks, they look like poo. They need to make that better. They need to do a better job with that. Because oval, if it was done well, I think it could have competed with iRacing. But there's so much missing on the oval side that just makes it disappointing. Car is slower than the rest, I think. Christopher, end of this race. End of this race is when the stream is going to be over. So, ending the stream at the end of this race. So, in about, let's see, what lap time are we getting? I gotta go to the right screen on the black box. So we'll find out in a minute what our best lap is. Our next lap, I should say. So it looks like about 4-minute lap, roughly. So if it's a 4-ish minute lap, give or take, then we got 6 laps, so about 25 minutes. 25 minutes left in the stream if we want to go off that. Oh my gosh, that got loose. Maybe don't downshift there. What do I think about rFactor 2 adding historic cars? I am so excited for that because classic historic cars are where they show off the best parts of rFactor 2. Some of the highlights of rFactor 2 is how they simulate mechanical grip. Mechanical grip is so well done in rFactor 2, and you get an idea of that with the historic cars. So if you subscribe to the GT3 World Series, I think you do get all 8 cars. So those 8 cars are all modded cars, I believe. It's kind of confusing how that mod works, because I think some of them, they use Studio 397 free cars. For example, I think the Camaro GT3 is part of that GT3 World Series mod. And wow, I just cut the track there. So Norman, if you are currently like on Windows 10, or I think even Windows 7, DirectX 11 is already installed. You should already have it. rFactor 2 is fairly demanding on higher end PCs. They are definitely improving it, but it's still demanding. For example, right now we're getting 87 frames per second on a single screen, high-ish settings, and I'm using a GTX 1080 graphics card. So you can put that however you want. And I'm 16 gigabytes of RAM and an 8-core CPU. So you can take with that how you want, but yes, this is pretty intensive. Also factor in, I'm streaming right now, that uses up some system resources, but all in all, rFactor 2 is admittedly heavier on resources than other titles like Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa and iRacing, those tend to be the two best optimized titles in sim racing of this modern generation. Those are the two, in my opinion, best optimized. RaceRoom is pretty intensive. Christopher, if you're willing to go with an older generation, $500 computer could do all right. Maybe get like an older i5 or something like that, and then maybe say like a 960, 970 graphics card. But RAM, you also, I'd say you don't want to go below 16 gigs of RAM personally, and also with RAM prices being the way they are, this is one of the worst times. We're ending in that era, but it's still one of the worst times to really buy components for a PC. That's one of the things. But admittedly, rFactor 2 is starting to run a lot better, so I think you can get away with a less, like a mid-range computer. But yeah, this isn't a well optimized, because usually with these settings I would be getting about on a decently optimized track, I'd get 120, 130 frames per second. So usually do pretty well. Wait, they announced DDR5 today? I totally missed that. Well, you could do a gaming laptop, but then you'd likely lose all your battery in like 10 minutes. Thank you, the Nitty Lottie, for subscribing. Thank you. Totally got distracted reading that name. Well, you can tell it's starting to get darker. Oh, wrong button. 9:26 p.m. So my guess is this is based off of summertime. So I want to say, if I remember correctly, the 24-hour of Le Mans is this month or in June. So I'm thinking in like 10, 15 game minutes, it should get dark. You can see the shadows getting longer. We'll just turn on headlights now because we don't have to worry about them later. It should be getting dark about now, though. Our base around 16th of June, okay. Whenever the race was last year, I bet. DDR5 not released before 2020. Yeah, sounds about right. And usually you can get a decent few years out of a computer with last-gen technology. For example, I built my first computer in 2013, AMD FX 8350, 16 gigabytes DDR3 RAM. I used an NVIDIA GTX 650 Ti. I had just hard drives, no solid state drives. But then 2016 I built my first custom, I think. I think I built my first custom computer in 2016. Maybe 2015 though. But my first custom real serious build 2016, an Intel i7 or no, actually it was last year for a full build. And then I had the Ryzen 7 1700X, the 1080 graphics card. I had 16 gigabytes DDR4 RAM. I have 2 SSDs in this system, actually, I think. And that, or no, 1 SSD in this system, 2 SSDs in my Intel system. And then, yeah, a 4 terabyte Western Digital Black in this system for my game drive and stuff. This is a fast car. I don't think I have the setup to catch up to them. But yeah, I like the feel of these cars. The tires, you can definitely start feeling them wear out. You can start feeling the wear in the tires. Especially because I've been sliding a bit. I can feel the flat spots. I'm going to feel even more flat spots now. Thank goodness I had an invulnerability on, or else that would have likely totaled my car. Oh yeah, I can feel those flat spots now. rFactor 2 does a great job of punishing you for driving badly. So yeah, driving badly. Hold on. You can see the wheel just jittering right now because of those flat spots. Oh, got a slight frame rate stutter there. Can I post my force feedback settings? So, let's see. I have my multiplier in game set to 0.3. I have force feedback smoothing set to 1. Strength in SimuCube set to 100. SimuCube force reconstruction filter set to 4. Hold on a sec. Let's get through this corner. Torque bandwidth filter set to unlimited. Filter disabled. 1.5% dampening in the SimUQ profiler, and everything else at 0. SimUQ is the software that powers the Open Sim wheel. So it powers the direct drive wheel that I am currently using. Yeah, I'm hoping this PC I'm using will last a while, because, yeah, spend like $1,500 on it. But yeah, sunset looking pretty nice. The way the sun's reflecting off. Not really seeing much in the sky though, but yeah, we're not focusing on the sky. It seems like the time is off though. 10:30 p.m. I think it should be dark by now. I think personally speaking, it should be dark right now for the entire track. Just kind of weird seeing it's still light at 10:31 p.m. in game. And that's one of the things that's kind of irritating. So, I wish that for rFactor 2, they would allow you to change the date on tracks. So, for example, if you wanted to race Le Mans in wintertime, the time of day would be representative of that. Or if you wanted to race it in the middle of summer or things like that. So, they could take a lot from Project Cars 2, I think. Project Cars 2, as much as they have problems with it, there are a lot of things that they do right. A lot of things they do right. Kind of confused at what you mean, did I set time of day correctly? I did what I could because you set the time of day, I set it to I think like 7, and then I changed it to, what was it? Yeah, I set it to time of day, and then I set the time advance. Crew is ready for pit stop. Okay. Why not? We're already in the back. Also, my tires are shot. Or not shot, but totally feeling the flat spots right now. Yeah, according to this sim, it is 11 p.m. Doesn't look like it. Looks like maybe 8 p.m. during summer. What do I think about Settle Court or ACC? I think if they do it right... Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that was a huge frame stutter. And now all of a sudden it gets dark. Okay. So, continuing on what I was saying, for ACC, if they do it right, it will, I think, do a good job ushering in the next generation of sim racing. They really need to bring out a polished racing title, though. Assetto Corsa is a decent driving title, but ACC, they need to focus more on the racing. It's going to be the official Blancpain Endurance Series game. So that they really need to take advantage of that. They need driver swaps. They need the day to night transition. They need the weather to work well. If they don't, that could cause a lot of trouble. But they are going to have weather effects in ACC. That was announced right off the bat. They need to do well with it, though. It can't be a gimmick. They need to be legit with it. So, they are doing the early access. I thought they were bringing it out like this summer or something like that. Okay, so 19 seconds for fuel, 30 seconds for tires. I don't know if they add that in, or is 30 seconds when the stop ends. We'll figure that out. But yeah, ACC, they really need to do it well. Any word on GTR3? Nothing that I've heard, unfortunately. Hopefully soon. So let's see, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay. So it is going to be 49 seconds, I think. That's my estimate. 41, 42, 43. But I think the early access for ACC will come out 2019. Or 2018. And then the full game in 2019. That would be my guess. But my concern is, it sounds like they have to sacrifice the modding for ACC, which is upsetting, but also understandable. Wait, we're overheating now? I guess, so, something cool that is simulated in, in rFactor and rFactor 2 is, for example, I think these cars, they perform at such high tolerances that if you are sitting and there's no air coming into the car, it will legitimately overheat. So you have to really keep in mind that this car, it needs to be moving. For example, we get a lot of air coming into the car right now, and you can see the oil temp is dropping. Christopher, what wheel and game? I'd say a pre-owned Logitech, maybe G27 or maybe Driving Force GT, even with a good set of pedals. But for the best deal for an entry level, I'd say Logitech G27. That's what a lot of people got into it with. Or maybe the Thrustmaster TMX or T150. That would be a good option as well. I wouldn't say invest too much, though. I'd say put a reasonable amount in. And then for titles, that's a toss-up. Assetto Corsa is a good title to get people introduced. Also, admittedly, Project Cars 2 is a decent way to get started. rFactor 2 might be a bit too steep of a learning curve for people. I'll admit that. Where rFactor 2, it just throws you in there. Going from racing games to racing sims, Assetto Corsa, Project Cars 2, GTR 2 oldie but a goodie in terms of actual. Whoa. What happened? Hold on. Dang it, that glitch happened again. So, what the flip? What the heck? Dang it. I've been having this weird glitch with my adapter. So I just lost my throttle. What the heck? Well, that was... I'm going to DNF in this race, but... Okay. This was not an rFactor 2 glitch. This was an issue with my hub that I'm trying to sort out. I thought I had it fixed, but yeah. Hold on. Nope. Nothing. Well, that's a bummer way to end the stream. But hey, rFactor 2, it still looks pretty good in the right situations. They need to polish it, but yeah, so... This was fun, though. Fun driving this, and... Yeah. Well, could have been worse. Could have been a lot better. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I have a few exciting videos planned, so stay tuned for those coming up. I need to build the GT Omega Art cockpit that I need to review soon. But yeah, so for now, I'm going to head off, get something to eat. But you guys have a great rest of your day. And yes, I will do a review on URD-PX in the near future once they release the new update for it. But for now, you guys have a great night.